could be the Wolverines' biggest Rose Bowl ever. Amazing Blue chasing the championship next on 4.
Well, my name is Laverne Kip Taylor, and my folks came to Ann Arbor in 1917. Well, I've been in and out of Ann Arbor all my life. Well, Michigan's my school and always will be. Well, football Saturday in Michigan, there's nothing in the country that's like it. You have groups of people who plan months ahead of time to come into this great stadium to see Michigan play football. They have tradition. It's Hail to the Victors, the fight song. It's the smell of hot dogs grilling at a tailgate. And it's the spirit handed down from generation to generation. Fathers who coached, sisters who led cheers in the rain, brothers who handed down their shoulder pads, the big game preserved in an old scrap box, a thread connecting the present with the past. Well, my recollections in 1947, it was a great football year for the University of Michigan. Fritz Chrysler was using an offense. It was a combination of the T and the single wing. I just turned 90 years old, but I do remember 1947. That's the last time that the University of Michigan football team won the national championship. Been 50 years since we finished the season #1. Harry Truman was president. Jackie Robinson became the first black player to play in the major leagues. A lot has changed since then. Now, my name is Kip Taylor, and I'm a Michigan man, and I had the opportunity of scoring the first touchdown in this old stadium back in 1927. Up to the line of scrimmage, snapped the ball, and I ran my pattern. I looked up, and there's that ball floating in. I caught it, I took it under my arm, and I knew I only had one thing to do, was to get it across that goal line. I didn't recognize that it was the first touchdown. At the end of the first quarter, they took me out. Never put me back in, and I thought, now, what the hell did I do now that wasn't right? And then, the third game, we went up to Madison, Wisconsin. And the second quarter, I got down underneath a mass of players, and I think the weight just broke my neck. I loved the game. I loved being part of Michigan, and that was all taken away in one accident. Never got to play in a Rose Bowl. Never was on a championship team, so to speak. I was there just for a short period of time, and but I guess that's one of the breaks of the game. Tomorrow in Pasadena, those players, they'll be out there playing for everybody who has ever worn that winged helmet. They'll be playing for every Wolverine who didn't get that chance to be #1. They'll be out there playing for everybody like me. My name is Kip Taylor. I'm a Michigan man, and I know, and tomorrow, well, I think we're going to do it.
Freshly painted to reflect the Big Ten and Pac-10 champions. And crew still hard at work, putting the finishing touches on what promises to be a perfect playing surface for tomorrow's Rose Bowl game. As for the Michigan Wolverines, around 2 o'clock today, the players held their final walkthrough on the Rose Bowl field. They practiced in only helmets and shorts, no pads on the day before the game. And practice time was spent working on just getting used to the surroundings of what promises to be a much louder and more hostile environment tomorrow afternoon.
And just 45 minutes ago, they were at a pep rally at Citrus College in Glendora, California, about 20 minutes west of here. Take a good look. That's the last time you'll see the Wolverines before tomorrow's 5 o'clock kickoff. Right about now, they're headed down an LA freeway back to the team hotel, no doubt taking in the sights of Southern California and lost in their own thoughts.
And now to the scene inside the Rose Bowl. It's 5 o'clock Pacific time, and tonight's weather, oh, Bernie, it's absolutely postcard perfect.
Perfect. It's a great night. It's a great night for a show. Welcome. Thank goodness you are here. It is December 31st. We wish you were here. You couldn't ask for a better setup. Michigan against Washington State in the Rose Bowl.
Hello, everyone. I'm Carmen Harlan with Bernie Smilovitz coming to you live from Pasadena. We have our own championship team of reporters tonight to help us preview tomorrow's Rose Bowl. We've got Fred Heumann and Suzanne Wangler live at Citrus College in nearby Glendora, and Fred McLeod is back home in downtown Ann Arbor.
But first, we're going to acknowledge this right up front. Hype's inevitable in a situation like this, and sure, you deserve hype when you got this kind of a game. It may not be the game of the century. It may not even be the game of the decade. But to Michigan, it's the most anticipated college football game in probably the last 50 years. So the cast of characters is set. The setting is set. The circumstances, oh, they're perfect for what should be a memorable game. It has been a busy week for Lloyd Carr and the Wolverines, but the head coach has handled it all very well. You really get the sense that despite the pressure he must be feeling with the national championship in the balance, he's doing everything possible to savor each and every moment he is here in Southern California. And so are we. We're going to go live to Suzanne Wangler and Fred Heumann, who are standing by live at Citrus College, where they just talked to Lloyd Carr. Kids?
Indeed, Bernie. In fact, my ace sports reporter did my work for me here. This is where they practice all week. The field is a little torn up behind us. If you'll move out of the way, sure. Maybe we can see how the field is all torn up behind us. That's the Michigan players who tore it up this week here at Citrus College in Glendora, California. The beautiful mountains behind us. It's dusk right now, and it's a beautiful setting. I've had fun. How about you?
10,000 Wolverine fans here. Isn't that spectacular?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, they enjoyed every minute of it. And just a little bit ago when they were going onto the bus, we had a chance to talk to Lloyd Carr, and I'll tell you what, he said, being here tonight, listening to the band, listening to all the members of the University of Michigan, it truly gave this team an idea of just what it is to be at the Rose Bowl, to win a national championship. It gave them a time to sit there, look around, and say, hey, we've made it, and let's give them all a win tomorrow. Take a listen to what he had to say.
When you experience something that we just experienced in that stadium, it inspires you. And I told all the players all along that this would be a special day, the day before the game, because there would be so many things happen that would surprise them. And certainly when you have that many people come out and you know the support you have, it's it gives you goosebumps, I'll assure you.
Do you think it gave them the extra incentive to really think about what this game means?
Well, I think they know that when they come into that stadium, they're going to have tremendous support, but it still comes down to playing with the same kind of intensity, enthusiasm, and effort that they have all year long, and I know that they're going to do that.
What's the message you're going to give to them?
Finish the season.
What a great year for you.
Well, it's been a great year for all of us, and all of those who love Michigan. Go Blue.
You know, this is a really special time for them. You know, what really caught my eye was that the stadium was just erupting with all the U of M fans and the players and everything, but they were so subdued walking onto that bus.
You know what caught my eye? You're a pretty good sports reporter.
You know, we had a chance to talk to Woodson on the way out, too, but we'll give you that interview a little later. Back to you, Bernie, in the Rose Bowl.
That's Scoop Wangler, I think, is what we're going to start calling her now, huh? Freddie, what happened down there?
You know, if you want to see Lloyd Carr and the Wolverines tomorrow at the Rose Bowl, what are you going to need? You're going to need one of these. This is the hottest ticket in town. A lot of fans would do just about anything to get their hands on one of these. Indeed, demand for Rose Bowl tickets has reached an all-time high. Brokers tell us their phones have been ringing nonstop, and the hundreds of desperate fans who are calling are willing to pay as much as $1,000 per ticket.
Oh, I've never seen anything like this in my life. I mean, this is crazy. It's nuts. It's berserk what people are paying for these tickets.
Now, you may recall the long lines that the students at the University of Michigan had to stand in to get tickets to the Rose Bowl. For those that were lucky enough and got them, well, figuring out an affordable way to get to Pasadena was the challenge for them. That is, unless they were willing to share the expenses. Now, meeting the Michigan chapter of Evans Scholars, you're going to meet them. For them, it was 2 buses, more than 200 close friends, a home video camera, courtesy of WDIV, provided the backdrop for the journey of the century.
How'd you hear about this? One of my best friends is in this fraternity, and he invited me to go and said, oh, we're going to have a blast. So, of course, I had to come. a bus with about 40 guys. It's not so fun, but it had its moments. Definitely memories are being made.
Okay. Well, the Michigan team found plenty of things to keep them busy during the 2 weeks in California.
Coming up, you'll ride the ups and downs during Michigan's visit to a California theme park.
And later, we'll take you to Fremont, Ohio. That's the hometown of Charles Woodson. And we're going to talk to the Heisman Trophy winner's mom.
I'm Fred Heumann back here in Glendora. You know, there are 2 Michigan championship teams here in California, and I'll come back and show you how it's a big week for both of them. Coming up.
And I'm from live in Ann Arbor, where it's chilly, but this is where the mountain climbing expedition began. We'll explain coming up in the program.
And I'm Suzanne Wangler, live in Glendora, and I'll tell you what, the University of Michigan marching band drum major bleeds maize and blue, but you know he's from Pasadena. We'll have his homecoming coming up.
Amazing Blue, Chasing a Championship, is brought to you by Select Care. We're changing health care for good. By the Pontiac Grand Am, built for kicks, built for keeps. By Wendy's, the best hamburgers and a whole lot more.
Welcome back to Pasadena. Our Rose Bowl special continues. It has been a half century since Michigan last won college football's national championship. And there are some uncanny similarities between that 47 team and this 97 team, even though people know they won it in 48 on New Year's Day, and tomorrow they could win it New Year's Day in 48. That suggests it could happen all again. Fritz Chrysler won his first outright Big Ten championship that season. Lloyd Carr equaled that this year. During both seasons, Minnesota was the opponent in a homecoming victory. The last road game for both teams was at Wisconsin, both won by the Wolverines. They ended the season with a home win against Ohio State in 47. Same story this year in Ann Arbor. The star player on that 47 team was Bob Chappius. He finished second for the Heisman that year. Charles Woodson won the Heisman earlier this month. Both teams ended the season in the Rose Bowl against an opponent they had never faced in that game. In 47, anyone? It was Southern California. Tomorrow, Washington State. And in 47, the Wolverines finished the season as national champs. As for this year, well, that's still to be determined. Ironically, 5 years ago, the 47 team planned a reunion in Pasadena to celebrate their golden anniversary. At the time, they had no idea who would be playing in the game. Fred Heumann joins us live from Citrus College. As you might expect, the former players are happy to share their secrets for success with this year's Michigan team. Fred, they were a good bunch, weren't they?
Yeah, and I got to tell you, Bernie, I was happy to listen to them. I could have done this, you know, for a couple of days because the stories are tremendous. And actually, as you alluded to, they started this idea of a 5-year reunion every 5 years since the championship, so they've had 9 of them. And then, as you mentioned, 5 years ago, they decided that reunion number 10 was going to be for the big celebration.
The 1947 Wolverines ran roughshod through their schedule en route to the 48 Rose Bowl victory and a national championship. It was a team led by their spiritual leader, tailback Bob Chappius.
We liked one another. We enjoyed one another. We played well together. We felt that if we didn't play well as an individual, we would be leaving all of these great people down, and we didn't want to do that, and we didn't do it.
That 47 team was a close-knit bunch. Their coach, Fritz Chrysler, didn't mingle much with the players until the train ride home from the 49-0 victory over USC in the Rose Bowl, when Chrysler loosened up.
Halfway through this evening, Fritz Chrysler poked his head in the door and he says, you mind if I join you? And Joe Soboleski said, no, you can join as long as you can tell a story as good as the last one and bring a bottle of booze. And so he says, well, I guess I qualify on both counts.
Joe Soboleski remembers the time he overslept and nearly missed the train for a game. He got to the game late, blocked a punt to set up the winning touchdown, so all was forgotten.
And I remember when he showed the films after that, Monday or whatever it was, he says, Soboleski, he just always used to talk. He says, next week you can sleep till noon, you know.
At the 97 team's football bust back on December 1st, the 47 team was there, reunited again. But this reunion stuff is old hat to these guys. At the last one of these gatherings, they decided to have a 50-year reunion at this year's Rose Bowl, never dreaming the 97 Michigan team would be there too.
It really is wonderful. It's awfully nice that Michigan brought their team to celebrate our reunion. Isn't that nice?
Bill, how are you?
I haven't seen him for a while. I haven't seen you for a long time.
I reckon that.
And I haven't seen you for a long time either.
Lloyd Carr invited the 47 team to his own team's luncheon yesterday. And old stories were exchanged again.
50 years later, do the passes become a little longer and the runs a little more spectacular?
Yeah, what is the saying? You know, the older it gets, the better we were.
Last night, the team gathered once more at their 50-year reunion banquet and watched old film clips of their magical season.
It was a great time. I'll tell you something. I wouldn't give it up for $1 million in those days, which would be like $100 million today, I think. It was just super.
50 years can separate people, but you can't really separate tradition.
You surely can't, and of course that's kind of like that's what we rely on at Michigan, is that tradition and the fellowship and the loyalty and all those things. It sounds a little corny, but it is so true.
Believe me, we'll be pulling for them to win, and they win the Rose Bowl game. And I'm not saying if, I'm saying when we win the Rose Bowl game, we'll be national champions again. Again.
That's Al Wistert, and that's the 47 team. I'll tell you, Bernie and Carmen, one similarity that probably won't follow true to form from the 97 team to the 47 team. After that 47 season and 48 Rose Bowl that they won over USC 49-0, Fritz Chrysler then resigned. He became the athletic director, turned over the reins to Benny Oosterbaan. I don't think Lloyd Carr is about to resign, and I don't think Tom Gossis is in any trouble as athletic director. So if Michigan wins tomorrow, I don't think that scenario or that comparison will hold true to form. Back to you guys at the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, you didn't quite go out on a limb there or anything, Fred.
That's my big prediction of the week.
We'll see in a little while.
All right, you know, certainly the 47 team would love the modern-day perks that this Wolverine team gets to enjoy on this Rose Bowl trip. You know, we want to show you something. Welcome to Michigan Day at the famous Knott's Berry Farm theme park in Buena Park, California. That's about 30 miles outside of Pasadena. The players were welcomed by who else? Snoopy, among others, and they got a chance to spend the day on roller coasters and water rides inside the park. We asked Lloyd Carr what he enjoyed most about the trip.
The chicken. Great chicken.
Great chicken? Well, Los Angeles is known for its stars. But you don't have to be Arnold Schwarzenegger, no, to turn heads at Planet Hollywood. Just ask the members of the U of M marching band. The band members were stars at Planet Hollywood in Santa Ana for a special performance this week. Hundreds of Wolverine fans stopped by the popular celebrity restaurant to sing along as they took center stage with the Michigan fight song.
Would you feel like a celebrity? It's great. I mean, it's just fun to see everybody else getting into the music and everything, and this is a great experience altogether.
All right, now imagine the thrill of taking center stage at the Rose Bowl, and this time we're not even talking about the football team.
No, we're not. You know, tomorrow the Michigan Marching Band will march in the Rose Parade and perform during halftime here at the game. Our Suzanne Wangler joins us now live from Citrus College, where the band is now, and there was a big pep rally this evening. Suzanne?
They just finished up here just a short time ago, Bernie and Carmen, and I'll tell you what, the drum major, Ramon Johnson, he bleeds maize and blue. This is a very special trip for him out here. That's because during his entire lifetime, he dreamed about playing for the University of Marching Band. But you know what? He's from Pasadena. Now he's back home doing what he does best, and I'll tell you what, they're glad to see him back home. It is without a doubt a magical year for the University of Michigan Marching Band, but also without a doubt a special year for the young man out front who's always had a dream.
I remember the years I'd go to the parade and I'd see, the live floats. I get so excited when the bands came by. My high school band was one of 55, and so I would see the big, huge college bands, and so I'd always dream of being in there.
And it's hard to imagine those dreams started right here in Pasadena. Who can believe the major with so much Michigan pride is actually from the City of Roses? And that is what makes this trip so special.
It's really a humbling experience to be able to go back and say, this is what I've achieved. I've been gone for, 3.5 years. I'm coming back, and this is what I've been doing.
And high-stepping and back-bending is what this junior in mechanical engineering does best. Despite the delays the band faced getting here, All eyes were on the man out front, strutting his stuff for his hometown friends. Inside the hotspot Planet Hollywood, it was a chance to meet and greet folks that he hadn't seen in a long time. No, it's a long way from Ann Arbor to Pasadena, and boy, are they proud to see him back home.
I just want to say good luck to the team, go blue, and love you, Detroit, and we'll represent you well.
I'm sure you will, Ramon. He did want to spend some time with his family at their home, but because of the delays at the airport, they're going to have to come see him, and I think they're going to put on quite a show. They'll be pleased. Reporting live in Glendora, back to you two at the Rose Bowl.
All right, Suzanne.
Scoop.
It certainly has been a wonderful couple of days here in Pasadena with you.
We've had a great time. We really have. It'll be better after tomorrow.
All right. Yeah. You know, it takes a lot of work to be, what, the best. And attitude has a lot to do with that, especially for a good team.
Next.
No, I'm sorry.
Well, that's all right. We're just going to try this out, then we're repeating at 9 o'clock. Join us then for the real thing. You'll meet the man who some players credit with giving them the winning attitude. Next. Here. Stay with us. Welcome back to Southern California. I'm Bernie Smilovitz, along with Carmen and Harlan. Lloyd Carr's abilities as a coach stretch far beyond the football field. This season, he has shown the way, many of his strengths, including his ability to motivate players.
His invitation to former President Gerald Ford to speak to the team during Ohio State Week helped secure a trip to the Rose Bowl, but perhaps the team's best motivation came before the season ever began.
Coach Carr invited Bloomfield Hills attorney Lou Kasischke to talk to the team about his struggles with life and death while climbing to the top of the world. Fred McLeod joins us live from Ann Arbor with more on the Mount Everest man. Fred, Happy New Year and welcome to Southern California.
Yeah, I feel like I'm climbing Mount Everest here, as you can see our breath. But I'll tell you what, Lloyd Carr had never met Lou Kasischke before. He had read about Lou's travails while climbing Mount Everest, the tallest of the tall. And Coach Carr felt there was a metaphor there that his team could latch on to. So we asked Lou if he would come to speak to his football team prior to the start of the season. Lou said, sure, why not? But he wasn't certain he could reach this band of young men. But suffice it to say, he has.
After a few minutes, I could see the intensity of their interest and just watching them.
That was one of the great speeches I've ever heard. I mean, it was great to hear a man in his struggle to get to the top of that mountain. I mean, I'll never forget that the rest of my life.
Lou knew he had reached the Wolverines after his speech when they began asking questions for an hour and a half.
Questions about how to stay motivated when you're facing, for such a long period of time, when you're facing setbacks and disappointments, and you're hurting physically, and you have all these obstacles and the frustrations and the stressful circumstances and the pressures. How do you stay motivated through all that?
Lou wasn't even sure himself he understood the football and climbing parallels. Then it suddenly hit him.
Climbing skills and physical strength are all absolutely necessary, but they're the easiest part. And I suspected maybe that was also true in football, but the hardest part, toughest part, was having the mental strength to endure all of that, to stay motivated, to be positive, to control that mental side of things, control anxiety, control impulse, control the fears and the self-doubts and all those emotions. You can control that. That's the biggest part of the challenge.
Lou attended every home game. As the season went along, he saw character develop and how this team depended on one another, especially in times of crisis, like the Iowa game when they were down at halftime. He says, like climbers, the Wolverines learned to lean on each other.
You can't get to the top of the mountain alone. What can you be the national champion alone? And I think they feel good about that.
And he talked about teamwork, and his was, I mean, on the most dramatic level, because if another guy didn't perform his task, he would die. And I mean, you know, we would lose. I mean, it's terrible, but it's no comparison into losing life. had great symbolism in the story, and we use that.
They don't know that yet, but that's the prize that's gonna stay with them.
Lou has amazing blue ice axe presented to him by the team as a reminder of what his talk meant to them. But on the field after the Ohio State triumph, they gave him something more.
Many of them, not one or two, but many of them came up to me, embraced me, and thanked me for being there with them in the beginning as a part of the effort and how much they appreciated that. At their biggest moment, when all of their peers are out there on the field, they came up to me and said that. I thought that was really significant.
The Wolverines still have one final leg of the mountain to climb, the Rose Bowl. Lou will be there in Pasadena. And his word of advice?
On summit day, when you're close to the top, that is the toughest. Always is. The one thing that I would say to them is just do what you've been doing. Positive attitude, self-control, managing that inner strength. And remember that you are where you are because of all the things that you've done to this point. Just keep doing it.
And Lou says if Michigan wins it all, he will feel like he has reached another mountaintop.
I've climbed all of the major mountains in the world, and I've had tremendous feelings from that. And I think getting to the top of this mountain will equal or exceed any other mountain I've ever climbed.
Wow. One footnote, Lou Kasischke and his mountain climbing team had prayer flags flying at the base of Mount Everest. During Ohio State week, Lou sent those flags to Coach Carr as a good luck gesture. Well, Lou went to game time on Saturday, looked up and saw those prayer flags flying at Michigan Stadium. And the irony of this entire story, Lou Kasischke is a graduate of Michigan State. Bernie, Carmen?
Great stuff, Fred.
Thank
Terrific.
you.
Great story. One Michigan player who didn't need any extra motivation this year is Eric Mays.
That's right. A former walk-on, Mays earned a scholarship and was voted captain this season by his teammates.
But an injury against Indiana this season ended his season, at least the on-field part of it. Fred Heumann joins us live again from Citrus College. They're going to make you dean down there if we go to you anymore, huh?
I am Mr. Glendora. You've heard of the Pasadena Rose Queen? I'm Mr. Glendora.
Go take it away, Mr. Glendora.
All right. When the Wolverines do take the field at the Rose Bowl tomorrow under that far tunnel, one senior co-captain, well, he'll be with them, but he won't be with them with the shoulder pads and that famed winged helmet. But to suggest that Eric Mays isn't very much a part of the reason that the Wolverines are in this Rose Bowl, well, that would be wrong.
The chemistry of this team is unbelievable. Some say we aren't the most talented team in Michigan, but there we have great chemistry when we play together as a team. And that's the real difference of this team. We have guys that are unselfish, who simply want to do one thing, and that's win for Michigan.
Nobody wants to win for Michigan more than Eric Mays. A senior linebacker and co-captain of the team, Mays went down with a season-ending injury during the October 4th Indiana game.
I knew that my last game would come soon, and my last game, or the last time I played football, would be in the Michigan helmet. I just figured it would be in Pasadena. But it will be in Pasadena. Fortunately, I just won't be able to take the field during those 60 minutes.
Eric Mays made sure he was still very much a part of this team. He was the first on the field before the Ohio State game as the Michigan players surrounded him.
When those guys in those winged helmets ran out that tunnel, it was a great feeling.
Moments later, it was he, their captain, who jumped on top of the pile to scream encouragement to his teammates. And at that moment, Eric Mays was reminded of defensive coordinator Jim Herman's summer words of wisdom.
Going into the season, we talked about a key, and we talked about the 12 notches on the key. And only 11 men can play on the field at one time. And that 12th notch is the guy who goes down and works hard in practice every day, who never gets to touch the field on Saturday. That is the 12th man at Michigan, and that is my role now. I'm not one of those 11 that are on the field, but I'm definitely part of that key. And without that key, we can't open the lock.
Eric Mays opened the lock when he transferred to Michigan from a smaller school and was told he wasn't good enough to earn a scholarship. So he walked on, earned that scholarship, and this year earned a starting position.
My mentality coming to Michigan was against all odds.
He's beaten the odds and has realized his dream, though somewhat shattered by his physical misfortune this year. Yet spiritually, he's never been stronger, and his teammates have taken notice. I noticed that you guys have done everything you can to make Eric feel a part of this team all year, haven't you?
Well, we don't have to do anything special. He is a part of this team. Just because he got hurt doesn't mean anything.
It feels great, baby. Just to let the world know Michigan is back.
Take a look at me now.
In the aftermath of the Ohio State victory, it was Mayes who was again on his teammates' shoulders with the Big Ten title trophy in his hands.
It's a family. They wanted to make sure I was a part of it. They told me, several guys told me no captain of ours is going to walk around on crutches. So they grabbed my crutches from me and lifted me up in the air. And it was a great celebration.
It's a family. Everybody. All of these people, everybody contributes. It's proud to be a part of it.
They gave me the trophy in the locker room. And somebody said, don't let go of this. This is ours. And I was holding on for dear life.
You've been through a lot here in the last few years, and particularly in the last couple of months. What has this taught you beyond football about life?
The thing that has taught me the most is that you can give everything. You can go out, you can fight, you can work, you can lay your heart and your dreams out there, and you can be rewarded.
Take a look at me now.
All right, well, Eric Mayes won't play tomorrow and his football career is over, but look for number 26 if Michigan wins this game on top of the celebrative pile afterward. He's very much a spiritual part of this team. He wants to be an athletic director one day. I would say don't bet against it. Bernie, Carmen?
All right, Mr. Glendora, thank you.
I'm feeling a little special.
We'll see you in a while, Freddie. You may remember Charles Woodson's signature play this season. You remember the one against Michigan State where he made the interception falling out of bounds. But Lloyd Carr told us that Woodson made an even better one in practice while they were here in California. We've got highlights. The team's video coordinator, Phil Bromley, was generous enough to pull out his projector to show us what all the fuss was about. Here's Woodson turning and backpedaling, a perfectly timed play that may not have been as good as the one against the Spartans, but certainly reminiscent of it. When Bromley stopped the tape at this point, we're told that what we don't see is Charles walking over and styling. That's with quotes around it, by the way, as only Woodson can. We did it in front of the stands, which, by the way, were empty at the time.
I don't think it was better, but it was right up there with it. I mean, but that's the kind of stuff he's been doing since he walked in the door. And when he did it against Michigan State, we weren't really surprised. Yesterday, we weren't surprised, but it was an amazing one-hand interception. Only difference was he was turned in a different kind of direction, and he reached up with his right hand still, but I don't know, it's kind of hard to describe. It was just an amazing play. If I see him try to describe it, it'd take me all day.
Well, you know, it'll be interesting to see tomorrow what Ryan Leaf of Washington State does in their offense, if they're going to go at Woodson or if they're going to ignore him and try to go to the other side of the field and not go at Charles Woodson, who's devastating on defense and pretty good offensive player, too.
He really is, and I was going to say styling. We do that all the time, don't we? We have a little more, or we will have a little more with Charles Woodson when we come back, including a visit to his hometown a little bit later. But coming up next, former Wolverine coach Bo Schembechler says he knows the real secret of the AMaizeing blue.
Oh, it's Bo, as only Bo can be. His memories of his first Rose Bowl, his thoughts of the Rose Parade, and the pride he takes in watching the Michigan Wolverines. Stay with us.
Back to Pasadena, I'm Carmen Harlan along with Bernie Smilovitz. One of the last official appearances for the Michigan players came Monday at Universal Studios in Hollywood. They were led by co-captain John Jansen, and the team got to break through an M banner into the Hard Rock Cafe for lunch with the Washington State players, though they were interrupted by a scary visit from Frankenstein.
Ooh.
The players were able to digest their food and head into the Universal City theme park. King Kong put in an extra scare into the Wolverines, too. We caught up with a couple of players who were still looking for a ride.
Sam, you must have an idea. We will find.
Back to the Future.
Yeah?
Right there.
You think Chris is afraid of that, maybe?
I'm afraid of heights.
You're afraid of heights?
Yeah.
I hate to break this to you, pal, but the Rose Bowl's in the mountains.
Well, I don't think it's going to bother me. At least we'll be on ground.
And in one of the great settings in any, I'll tell you, this place tomorrow, it starts in daylight and sunshine and then ends in this chill of the night, and it is a spectacular setting. But one of the most influential men in all of college football and, of course, in Michigan football, former head coach Bo Schembechler, the man who brought Lloyd Carr to the university some 20 years ago. Now, as Michigan stands one win away from a national championship, it is with great pride that the teacher talks about his pupil and offers some friendly advice.
Lloyd and I are very close. We're really good friends. So naturally,
if I run into him or he runs into me, we talk about football.
But you don't go out of your way? Do you phone anything into him?
No.
Do you ever see anything on Saturday and say, hey, Lloyd, why did that happen? Or
Well, sure.
Like, give me an
just
example.
like you do.
He doesn't take my calls.
Say, hey, Lloyd, what the hell was that play? But I want to say this on your show. This guy 3 years ago took this team as an interim coach. Interim. He never missed a beat recruiting. He developed his own staff, which today is a very, very formidable coaching staff. And he put together this team of character and fundamental values. Now, that sounds trite to you, but not to me, because that is the reason that this team is so successful. And the coaching job that he did and his staff is the best I've seen at Michigan since I've been here.
Isn't this the same guy they were trying to run out of town here for the last couple of years?
Well, the ridiculousness of all of that, Bernie, is that no longer is winning 2/3 of your games good enough. My gosh. He never lost to Ohio State. He's beaten Notre Dame. He's beaten Colorado twice. I mean, he's done some marvelous things, sure. He stumbled and lost to Purdue. So did I. You know, I mean, he's lost a game or two, and that he probably should have won, but so did I.
Tonight's the night before the Rose Bowl. What is Lloyd Carr like? What are those kids like?
Well,
tight, nervous?
First time I went there, that was the night I had a heart attack. So that ought to tell you something right off the bat. So, no, the night before the game is always really, stuff to sleep. And studying plays. You don't want to make any mistakes. You're doing all those things. And that stadium and that game is unmatched in postseason football. That is the granddaddy of them all, and it really is.
Yeah. That setting is amazing.
Just everything from the parade all the way through it is just unbelievable.
The parade annoys me, but I like the game.
Yeah, the game is great. I've never seen the parade.
You never have seen the Rose Bowl parade?
Oh, on television a little bit, but not.
You probably go down this year, don't you think?
You have to get up too early.
What do you like when this game's going on? You're sitting in the press box wherever you're going to sit. Are you churning? Are you?
No, I'm just observing, and trying to figure out what's going on. I just love to watch football.
I know, but I mean, it's Michigan. It's your guys. It's your team. It's your guy down there coaching. I mean, that's a piece of you down there, too, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Coaching for a national championship.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a piece of every guy who ever went to Michigan, every gal who ever went to Michigan, every guy who coached there and played there. That's part of us. That's the Michigan tradition.
Is Michigan going to win the national championship?
We're going to find out New Year's Day. And they're going to have a great shot.
Do you feel it?
If you ask me, am I confident? Yes.
Sounds like a proud parent talking about the child, Lloyd Carr. Schembechler. Bo is one of the more amazing human beings I think any of us have ever met in sports. He's got that gruff exterior, but inside he's the warmest, softest, most caring individual I think most of us have ever met in this business.
And he knows how to stir your emotions.
Yeah,
too,
that's great.
Charles Woodson won the Heisman, but players will tell you Brian Griese is the team's real MVP.
A conversation with the Michigan quarterback who reveals tomorrow's game plan. Yeah, not really, but we tried. The offense. His hard work paid off, and now he stands poised on the brink of a national championship. 2 days ago, we talked with Griese about the game. What is the game plan?
Well, Bernie, if I told you the game plan, it wouldn't be much fun watching the game now, would it?
That's true. But I thought I'd try.
Yeah, you knew what kind of answer you were going to get, too.
Probably kind of similar to what we've seen all year, I would guess.
Probably.
So how is it with, people make too much with you and your dad and him doing the game and you being there and everything, or is it kind of, is it in some way refreshing to you to look up and you see him up there? Do you ever look up and see him up there in the booth?
No, not during the game. I mean, I have a few things to think about. A big 300-pound lineman coming at me, trying to hit me as hard as they can. I'm not worried about him. He's safe up there, He doesn't have to do what I have to do.
But is it refreshing for you, though, to know he's there and afterwards or before the game you're talking and you're going over? Do you go over stuff?
Before and after the game is when I really enjoy him being there because, you know, any other player, they go out after the game, out of the locker room, they have their parents there to greet them, you know, and for a couple of years I never had that. I never had anybody to go out and say hello to after the game or take me out to dinner, and I'm just glad that he's been able to be there in person to see the games and to go out and have a good time afterwards with his son.
Must be huge to him also, wouldn't you think? I mean, just looking from his perspective.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's had a great year. It's been a magical year for me and this team. But for him, you know, he couldn't ask for anything more, and neither could I.
How can you keep yourself calm? How do you keep yourself calm? You got a national championship you're playing for. I mean, the whole thing is there.
It's there, but like I said, before the season, nobody thought that we were going to win the Big Ten championship. Nobody thought we were going to be out here in Pasadena, and nobody thought in their wildest dreams that we'd be playing for a national championship. So for us to be here, you know, we're fortunate, but at the same time, everybody is confident that we're going to win this game.
I thought all those things for the year.
Did you really? Yeah, sure. Did you get it on camera at all?
No, but you don't have to. You can just think of it. So what do you like just before a game? Are you nervous? Do you have to have butterflies to feel that energy?
Yeah, you get anxious. I mean, you don't get as much nervous as you do. You just want to get out there, get hit, and then get into your game plan. But after that, everything is smooth.
Do you dream of this stuff? Do you see this in your mind, how it unfolds?
I wouldn't call it dreaming. I would call it visualizing what's going to happen. And that way, you know, when the situation comes up, you're confident that you can make a play in that situation.
Do you visualize yourself as a national champ?
Definitely. Definitely.
You know, it's interesting. The players said today, including Brian Griese, they were happy they came out here December 19th because it was all focused on football, and they feel that is the big plus in their preparation for this game tomorrow.
Well, Bernie, the town of Fremont, Ohio will be watching tomorrow's Rose Bowl game with keen interest. That's where Michigan Heisman Trophy winner Charles Woodson grew up. It's right in the middle of Ohio State country. But as a baby, his family says that they always knew he was drawn to football. He used to play football in the living room with his brother. And growing up, Charles was always the star of the team, and in high school, he was heavily recruited by both Michigan and Ohio State. We know which team he chose. We asked the people who knew him then why.
Winning. Yeah, that's the driving force, to win. He wanted everybody on the team to feel like him, to say, we're going to win this game. And winning is the ultimate goal.
Best I've ever seen. I think what I would describe him as the best athlete on a football field I've ever coached or I've ever seen play the game.
Well, you know, there is a Charles Woodson impersonator. Do you like that? There's Charles Woodson impersonator on the Washington State University football team. Actually, that'd be the Washington State football team. His name is DJ Dobbins. Take a look at Dobbins wearing the maize and blue on the practice field for Washington State. Number 2, it gives Washington State quarterback Ryan Leaf and his Fab Five receivers a taste of what maybe they can expect from Woodson tomorrow during the Rose Bowl game. And he takes the role seriously, makes the leaping interception, then getting up and styling just like the way Charles Woodson would have. That's DJ Dobbins. There he is of Washington State. Here's DJ.
Charles Woodson has fun when he's doing his thing, and I just have fun doing his thing.
Can you strike the Heisman pose, or is it something that you don't know about?
Oh, I can strike the Heisman pose.
Well, let's see. Let's see what he's got. Let's see if he's even close.
You gonna put me on the
Come on, man. Let's see what you got.
There you go.
Nice look.
We'll see about DJ tomorrow.
He does that pretty well.
Not bad. Yeah, look good, too, on tape.
You know him, and you've seen him on the field. But what's Coach Lloyd Carr really like off the field?
Well, I've asked that question a million times, and thank goodness Carmen will answer it for us. Coming up, Carmen's interview with Lori Carr, the wife of Lloyd.
Heart pounding, and I was just a nervous wreck, and I kept thinking, I don't know, I'm just not very good at that. Me, I probably get more nervous now than he does. And so he normally wouldn't do. And the traveling and meeting people, that's what's the most fun for me.
You know, we had never met before, but it seems like I was talking to an old friend. Not only is she very warm and nice, but very honest, too. It was very nice meeting Lori Carr. You know, it's been a wonderful 2 weeks.
Good.
Go! Rose Bowl! Go Cougars! Go Cougars! Go blue!
Time's up.
We interrupt this bite for a little update. How we doing?
On 4.
You're sweating.
I always sweat.
You are sweating.
I mean, I always sweat.
You're working that hard at it, huh?
I'm not really working that hard. I mean, you bother me about it, and I really can't eat.